Golden Rules for Making Money by Earl Nightingale. Lesson 1. Wealth in your mind. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess. Right now, as you read these words, you are using the greatest creative force in the universe, your thoughts. Have you ever stopped to consider that everything you see around you, every invention, every business, every fortune, began as a simple thought in someone's mind? What you think about consistently is what you become. This isn't mystical philosophy. It's practical truth. The human mind operates very much like the rich soil in a garden. The soil doesn't care what kind of seeds you plant. It will return whatever you sow, beautiful roses or troublesome weeds. Your mind works exactly the same way. If you plant thoughts of success, achievement, and prosperity, that's exactly what will grow in your life. If you plant thoughts of doubt, fear, and limitation, well, you'll harvest those too, with the same remarkable efficiency, Most folks never realize they're planting seeds all day long with their thoughts. They wonder why money seems scarce, why opportunities pass them by, never connecting these results to the pictures they hold in their minds. The starting point of all wealth begins with forming a clear mental picture of exactly what you want. I'm reminded of a young woman I once met who desperately wanted financial security. When I asked her specifically what that meant to her, she couldn't answer. Her goal was fuzzy, like trying to drive to a destination without knowing the address. Successful people, those who attract money naturally, always know precisely what they're after. They see it, feel it, and experience it in their minds long before it materializes in reality. Your subconscious mind is like a faithful servant who takes your dominant thoughts and works day and night to bring them into your life. It doesn't judge whether these thoughts serve you well or poorly. It simply acts on them. Here's something remarkable I've observed over decades of studying successful people. Money flows toward clear thinking. When your thoughts about money are muddled with fear or doubt, money responds by staying away. When your thoughts are clear, positive, and focused on value and service, money responds by moving toward you. Start paying attention to your daily thoughts about money. Are they predominantly positive or negative? Do you expect good things to happen, or are you constantly bracing yourself for financial disappointment? Each morning, take just 5 minutes to write down your most common thoughts about money and success. After a week, review what you've written. You'll often be surprised by the patterns you discover. Remember, friends, whatever thoughts you choose to plant today will determine the harvest you'll reap tomorrow. The magic of your mind is that it will faithfully create whatever picture you consistently hold within it. Your financial future is being shaped right now by the thoughts you're thinking today. Change your thoughts and you'll change your life. It really is that simple and that profound. Lesson 2. The 6-inch secret to success. The greatest fortune you'll ever possess isn't buried in a distant treasure chest or locked away in some bank vault. It's right there between your ears, that remarkable 6-inch space that houses your mind. This is the most powerful wealth-creating device ever known to humanity, and you've had it all along. I've studied successful people for decades, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that wealth begins with a decision, a simple, profound decision that takes place in the mind. The millionaire and the person struggling to make ends meet have something remarkable in common. They both possess exactly the same equipment upstairs. The difference lies in how they use it. Most people, unfortunately, use less than 10 of their mental capacity. Imagine owning a factory capable of producing miraculous results, but only operating one small corner of it. That's what most folks do with the factory between their ears. They focus on limitations rather than possibilities. They dwell on what might go wrong instead of what could go wonderfully right. Your mind doesn't judge what you feed it. It simply accepts your dominant thoughts and works tirelessly to bring them into reality. When you tell yourself, "I'll never be good with money," your brain accepts that instruction as gospel truth. But what happens when you instead declare, "I'm developing excellent money skills every day"? Something remarkable begins to unfold. I remember speaking with a shoe salesman in Chicago who transformed his entire financial future. For years, he struggled to make ends meet. Then one day, he realized he was using only a fraction of his mental capacity. He began studying financial principles during his lunch breaks and commute. Within 2 years, he'd not only doubled his income, but started a side business that eventually grew larger than his day job. The secret: he simply decided to use more of what he already had, his remarkable mind. Your brain is like a heat-seeking missile. Once you give it a clear target, it will find ways to reach that destination. But most people never set clear financial targets. They drift along, hoping somehow money will magically appear. Friends, hope is not a strategy. Clear thinking, followed by decisive action, that's the pathway to prosperity. Try this experiment. For the next 7 days, whenever you encounter a financial challenge, don't ask yourself, why can't I afford this? Instead ask, how can I afford this? Notice how different those questions feel. The first shuts down your mental factory. The second fires it up to full production. Your 6-inch secret to success is always available, ready to work wonders. It doesn't matter what financial situation you're in right now. Your mind can show you the way forward if you'll just put it to work. Remember, the person who says they can and the person who says they can't are both right. The choice is yours. Start using the full capacity of that remarkable space between your ears. The results will astonish you, and so will the balance in your bank account. Lesson 3. Setting goals that pull you forward. The most successful men and women I've met throughout my life all share one common trait. They know exactly where they're going. Like skilled navigators, they've charted their course with precision and purpose. My friends, nothing in this world happens by accident, and the money you desire won't stumble into your life by chance either. Goals are the magnetic force that pulls abundance toward you. When you set a clear, specific goal, you activate one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. Your subconscious mind, this magnificent servant, never rests, working tirelessly to move you toward whatever destination you've programmed into it. But here's the truth: most people never discover. Vague wishes produce vague results. I want to be rich someday is not a goal. It's merely a dream floating in the mist. A real goal has edges you can touch, details you can see, and a timeline you can circle on your calendar. I will earn $5,000 per month through my business by December 31st. Now that's a goal with power. Why do written goals work with such magical efficiency? When you commit your goals to paper, you're doing something only humans can do. You're taking an invisible thought and making it visible in the physical world. This simple act bridges the gap between your imagination and reality. Your written goal becomes a contract with yourself, a signal to the universe that you're serious about your intentions. The size of your goal matters tremendously. Small goals create small people. Large goals demand that you grow into someone capable of achieving them. Don't be afraid to set goals that make your heart beat faster and your palms sweat a little. The purpose of a goal isn't just to get something, it's to become someone new in the process. I've observed that most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, but drastically underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years. Give your goals the gift of time. Plant them firmly, nurture them daily, and watch them grow into results that will astonish you and everyone around you. Your goal card is a simple but profound tool. Write your primary financial goal on a small card in present tense, as if you've already achieved it. I earn $60,000 annually, or my investments generate $2,000 monthly. Carry this card everywhere. Read it when you rise in the morning, during your lunch break, and just before sleep. These are the times when your subconscious mind is most receptive. As you read your goal, feel the emotion of having already achieved it. Experience the pride, the satisfaction, the sense of accomplishment. Your subconscious cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Use this to your advantage. Remember, friends, a ship without a destination will never reach any port. Your goals are the coordinates that allow the tremendous power of your mind to navigate you toward the wealth you desire and deserve. Set them clearly, review them frequently, and watch as they pull you forward into a future more abundant than you've dared to imagine. Lesson 4. The Law of Sowing and Reaping. I'd like to share with you today one of the most profound principles that governs our universe. A principle so powerful yet so simple that most people overlook it entirely. This is the law of sowing and reaping, and understanding it is essential to creating wealth in your life. Think about a farmer for a moment. Does a farmer expect to harvest corn without first planting corn seeds? Of course not. The farmer knows with absolute certainty that whatever seed is planted into the ground, that same type of crop will emerge. Plant corn, get corn. Plant wheat, get wheat. The harvest is always consistent with the seed. Your financial life operates by this very same principle. The money you receive is always in direct proportion to the value you provide to others. This might be the most important sentence in this entire book, so let me repeat it. The money you receive is always in direct proportion to the value you provide to others. Money, you see, is nothing more than a certificate of service rendered. When you provide something of value to another person or to the marketplace, you receive money in exchange. The more value you provide, the more money flows back to you. It's as simple and as profound as that. Many people have this backwards. They focus on what they can get rather than what they can give. But the universe doesn't work that way. First comes the giving, then comes the receiving. First comes the service, then comes the reward. Look at any truly wealthy person, and you'll find someone who has figured out how to solve problems for a great many people. The founder of a successful business has created products or services that improve the lives of thousands or even millions. The investor has provided capital that allows businesses to grow and employ more people. The professional has developed specialized skills that help others overcome challenges. If you want to increase your income, there's only one reliable path. Increase the value you provide. Find ways to serve more people, solve bigger problems, or deliver your service more efficiently. This is the secret that all financially successful people have discovered, whether consciously or unconsciously. Here's a practical way to apply this principle starting today. For the next 7 days, look for opportunities to give extra value in everything you do. If your job normally requires a certain level of effort, exceed that by 10. Keep track of how this affects your results, and just as importantly, how it makes you feel. This simple exercise will set in motion forces that must, by natural law, return to you multiplied. It might not happen overnight. Remember that the farmer must wait between planting and harvesting, but it will happen with mathematical certainty. The law of sowing and reaping never fails. Those who give little receive little. Those who give abundantly receive abundantly. It's not mystical. It's as practical as farming. Plant your seeds of service generously, tend them with care, and you'll harvest a financial crop beyond your expectations. Lesson 5. Turning problems into stepping stones. Problems. Those unwelcome visitors that knock on everyone's door. But my friends, what separates the successful from the average is not the absence of problems, but how they're greeted when they arrive. Every obstacle that stands in your path today contains within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. This isn't wishful thinking. It's a fundamental law of life. Just as surely as night follows day, within every problem lies opportunity waiting to be discovered. Consider the remarkable story of a young man I once knew. He lost his job during an economic downturn, a genuine problem by anyone's measure. Most would see only the closed door of unemployment. But this young man saw something different. He recognized that the job he lost had been consuming his energy while paying too little for his talents. With this new freedom, he launched a small business that within 3 years was earning him 5 times his former salary. You see, the problem wasn't the problem. His perception of the problem was the problem. When challenges appear in your financial journey, and they will, remember that problems are not stop signs. They are guideposts, directing you to new paths you might never have discovered otherwise. The size of your success will be determined largely by the strength of your challenges and how you choose to meet them. What separates winners from losers isn't luck or circumstances. It's response. When faced with identical problems, one person says, "Why me?" while another asks, "What can I learn from this?" One sees defeat, the other sees a detour. The problem hasn't changed, only the response to it. Consider this powerful truth. Diamonds are formed under pressure. The mighty oak develops strong roots because of strong winds. Similarly, your character and capabilities grow stronger precisely because of the problems you face and overcome. When money seems scarce, when opportunities appear limited, when others tell you it can't be done, these are the very moments that can define your financial future. These challenges are not there to stop you, but to test your resolve and creativity. I've discovered that life never sends us a problem without sending along the power to deal with it. The question is whether we're willing to tap into that power or simply surrender to the appearance of defeat. Every day, train yourself to look at problems differently. When challenges arise in your financial affairs, take a moment to ask, where is the opportunity here? What can I learn? How might this apparent setback actually advance my progress? My friends, the world makes way for those who transform their problems into stepping stones. All around you are people facing the same obstacles you face. While they see only barriers, you can choose to see bridges. While they see reasons to quit, you can find reasons to continue. Remember this. Problems introduce us to ourselves. They show us capabilities we didn't know we possessed. The financial rewards in life go not necessarily to those with the fewest problems, but to those who have developed the ability to solve them. Lesson 6. The $1,000,000 habit of persistent action. There's a quality that separates the achievers from the dreamers in this world, ladies and gentlemen. It's not intelligence, talent, or luck, though these certainly play their parts. The true differentiator is persistent action. I've studied the habits of successful people throughout my career, and this golden thread runs through every success story. Persistent action is the hammer that breaks through every wall of resistance. Think about water, one of the softest substances in nature. Yet given enough time, water can carve through solid rock, creating magnificent canyons. That's the miracle of persistence. Your consistent daily efforts, no matter how small they may seem today, compound into something truly remarkable over time. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and vastly underestimate what they can achieve in a year of consistent effort. This is why the wealthy don't just work hard. This is why the wealthy don't just work hard. They work hard consistently. They understand that success is not about making one perfect decision or taking one giant leap. It's about taking that small step forward every single day, regardless of how you feel or what obstacles appear in your path. I once knew a young man who started investing just $5 a day, an amount so small most would laugh at it. But he never missed a day. While others were waiting to have enough money to make real investments, his small daily actions were building momentum. 10 years later, his persistence had created a fortune that left the waiters and the doubters shaking their heads in disbelief. Remember, friends, money responds to consistency. The marketplace rewards reliability. When you show up day after day implementing your plan regardless of immediate results, you send a powerful message to the universe. You're saying, I'm serious about this. I'm not going away. Success has no choice but to come to me eventually. The tragedy I've witnessed time and again is watching talented people start with enthusiasm only to quit just before their breakthrough was about to happen. They planted the seeds but became impatient, waiting for the harvest. Had they persisted just a little longer, their fortunes would have been entirely different. Develop the habit of taking at least one significant action toward your financial goals every single day. No exceptions, no excuses. It doesn't matter if you don't feel motivated. It doesn't matter if circumstances seem unfavorable. Your persistent action creates its own favorable circumstances over time. The millions you seek aren't made in grand, dramatic moments. They're made in quiet morning hours when you choose to work while others sleep. They're made in the evenings when you choose learning over entertainment. They're made on weekends when you choose productivity over mere relaxation. This is the $1,000,000 habit that will never fail you. Choose action, choose it daily, and choose it regardless of conditions or feelings. Let me assure you, my friends, I've seen ordinary people with extraordinary persistence achieve what geniuses with inconsistent effort could not. Make this principle your own, and watch as your financial garden begins to flourish in ways you never imagined possible. Lesson 7. The Golden Law of Compounding. Have you ever observed a tiny snowball rolling down a mountainside? From a small fist-sized sphere to a massive force of nature by journey's end, this, my friend, is the perfect illustration of what I call the golden law of compounding. A principle so powerful it can transform modest beginnings into fortune. Money, you see, has a magical quality when properly understood. It wants to grow. It seeks to multiply. When you grasp this fundamental truth, the path to financial abundance becomes clear as morning sunlight. The first rule of compounding is deceptively simple. Begin now. Not tomorrow, not next month when circumstances seem more favorable, but today, this very moment. A single dollar set aside and properly invested has within it the seed of many more dollars. Time is your greatest ally in building wealth. Consider this truth. A mere $100 invested monthly at 10 interest over 40 years grows to more than $500,000. The magic isn't in the $48,000 you've contributed. It's in the $450,000 you've contributed. It's in the $450,000 created through compounding. The money you set aside begins working for you around the clock, creating more money, which in turn creates even more. Far too many good people delay their financial journey, failing to recognize that the earliest dollars invested are the most valuable ones. Each dollar you invest in your 20s is worth 10 invested in your 50s. Time transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. Now, let me share something that separates the financially free from those who struggle all their lives. Consistency outperforms sporadic brilliance. It's not the occasional windfall that builds true wealth, but the steady, disciplined habit of setting aside a portion of each dollar that comes your way. Pay yourself first, before the bills, before the expenses, before the government takes its share. Allocate a minimum of 10 of your income toward your financial future. This money is sacred. It represents your commitment to freedom. Treat it with profound respect by investing it wisely. Compound interest works silently, without fanfare, building your wealth day by day, hour by hour. Albert Einstein reportedly called it the eighth wonder of the world, saying, "He who understands it earns it, he who doesn't pays it, he who doesn't pays it." Here's another golden rule. Never interrupt the compounding process unnecessarily. Each time you withdraw from your growing nest egg, you're not just taking those dollars, you're removing all the future dollars. You're removing all the future dollars those withdrawn funds would have generated. The average person sees money as something to be used immediately. The wealthy person sees money as seeds to be planted, nurtured, and allowed to grow into money trees that produce a never-ending harvest. Remember this, the true power of compounding reveals itself not in the early years, but in the later ones. The growth curve steepens dramatically over time. What seems like modest progress in the beginning transforms into extraordinary momentum as the years pass. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. The mighty oak doesn't worry that it begins as a small acorn. It simply focuses on growing consistently, day after day. Your financial future can be just as magnificent if you harness the golden law of compounding starting today. Lesson 8. The power of compounding your effort. Just as surely as the mighty oak begins as a tiny acorn, true wealth begins with small, consistent actions that grow over time. My friends, I want to share with you one of the most profound secrets that the wealthy have understood for generations. The miracle of compounding. Compounding is nature's multiplication table. It works silently but relentlessly, turning modest beginnings into magnificent results. Think about how a penny doubled every day for a month would grow to over $5 million by day 30. The early days seem insignificant. On day 10, you'd have barely $10. But patience reveals the magic as the numbers begin to swell dramatically. The same principle applies to your money-making endeavors. When you save even small amounts regularly and allow interest to work on interest, you create a powerful force working tirelessly for you. A mere $5 saved daily and invested at a reasonable return can grow to a small fortune over a working lifetime. But compounding works beyond just dollars and cents. It applies to your knowledge, skills, and relationships too. Each book you read doesn't just add information, it multiplies your understanding. Each skill you master doesn't just increase your abilities arithmetically, it compounds your capabilities geometrically. The network of relationships you build doesn't just add opportunities, it multiplies them exponentially. The wealthy understand this fundamental truth. Small advantages, consistently applied over time, create enormous differences in results. This is why two people can start with similar circumstances, but after 20 years, one barely makes ends meet while the other enjoys financial freedom. Compounding requires three essential ingredients: a beginning point, no matter how small, consistent additions, and most importantly, time. The earlier you begin, the more powerful the effect. A 20-year-old who invests a modest amount monthly will likely outperform someone who starts with twice the monthly amount at age 40. The tragedy I've witnessed repeatedly is people who understand compounding intellectually but lack the patience to allow it to work. They plant seeds but dig them up repeatedly to check if they're growing. My friends, nature doesn't work that way, and neither does wealth building. I encourage you to start today, wherever you are. Put something aside, however modest. Learn something new, however basic. Connect with someone, however briefly. Then do it again tomorrow and the day after that. Don't be discouraged by the seeming insignificance of these early efforts. The mighty Mississippi begins as a small stream you could step across. The greatest fortunes began with a single dollar saved, and your financial future will be determined not by occasional grand gestures, but by the small, consistent actions you take today, tomorrow, and every day thereafter. Trust in the power of compounding. It has built more fortunes than speculation ever will. It rewards the patient and disciplines the hasty. Most importantly, it transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results for those wise enough to harness its power. Lesson 9. The Golden Habit of Compound Learning. Growth in your financial life follows the same principle as compound interest in your bank account. What you learn today, multiplied by what you'll discover tomorrow, creates an exponential curve of wisdom that can transform an ordinary income into extraordinary wealth. My friends, I've observed something remarkable about the truly wealthy people I've known throughout my life. They all share one distinctive habit that separates them from the merely successful. They never stop learning. They approach each day with the humble recognition that there's something valuable they don't yet know, and this attitude serves as the foundation of their financial empires. Consider this. When you finish your formal education, you're not ending your learning journey. You're simply beginning the most important phase of it. The books you read, the mentors you seek out, the experiences you absorb, these become the invisible assets that eventually manifest as visible wealth. I remember meeting a gentleman who started with a small investment in real estate. He told me his secret wasn't just hard work or luck, but his disciplined reading habit. Earl, he said, I decided early on that I would become an expert in my field, so I read at least 1 hour every day about real estate principles, trends, and strategies. After 20 years, I've accumulated knowledge that most people can't match, and my decisions reflect that advantage. That's the power of compound learning. Like pennies saved and reinvested, bits of knowledge connect with other bits, creating insights that wouldn't be possible without this accumulated wisdom. Make it your mission to learn something new about money every single day. It needn't be complicated. Perhaps it's understanding how a municipal bond works, or learning about a new tax advantage, or simply observing how successful people in your community make their decisions. These small lessons, gathered consistently over time, will give you an unshakable foundation for wealth creation. And here's a truth you must embrace. The most valuable knowledge often comes from unexpected sources. The clerk at your local bank might share an insight about savings programs that perfectly fits your situation. The article you read in a waiting room might contain the seed of your next investment idea. Keep your mind open and receptive. Create your own personal learning system. Dedicate the first 15 minutes of each morning to reading material that enhances your financial understanding. Subscribe to quality financial publications. Join groups where money matters are discussed intelligently. Find a mentor who has achieved what you aspire to accomplish. Remember, knowledge without application is merely interesting. Knowledge with application becomes powerful. As you learn, immediately ask yourself, how can I use this information today? This simple question transforms passive learning into active wealth building. The most successful people I know maintain a childlike curiosity throughout their lives. They're never too proud to ask questions, never too accomplished to learn from others. They recognize that in our rapidly changing world, yesterday's financial strategies may not serve tomorrow's opportunities. Make compound learning your golden habit, and watch as your financial knowledge and your wealth grow beyond what you once thought possible. Lesson 10. The Power of Intelligent Risk-Taking. Many years ago, while working in radio, I observed something fascinating about successful people. They weren't necessarily the most talented or the most educated. They were people who understood the power of calculated risk. You see, my friends, money flows toward those who understand a simple truth. Without risk, there can be no substantial reward. Now, I'm not talking about gambling or wild speculation. I'm talking about intelligent risk, taking the kind that separates the achievers from the dreamers. Think about this for a moment. Every great fortune began with someone making a decision to step into the unknown, to venture where others feared to tread. Your financial growth is directly proportional to your willingness to leave the comfort zone. The difference between a person earning $30,000 a year and one earning $300,000 often comes down to their relationship with risk. The higher earner has learned to evaluate opportunities, weigh potential outcomes, and move forward with confidence even when success isn't guaranteed. Consider the humble honeybee. Each day it ventures from the hive, risking its very life to gather nectar. Without this risk, there would be no honey. The bee doesn't worry about failure. It simply follows its nature. You too have a nature, and that nature is to grow, to achieve, to overcome obstacles. Here's a golden rule I've observed across decades of studying successful people. Start small, but start now. Begin by taking minor risks that stretch your comfort zone just slightly. Perhaps it's investing a small amount in a business you understand, or taking on a project slightly beyond your current abilities. With each small risk that pays off, your confidence grows, allowing you to take slightly larger risks in the future. Another principle of intelligent risk-taking is doing your homework. Knowledge dramatically reduces risk. The more you understand about an opportunity, the better you can evaluate its potential. Read books, take courses, speak with experts, and study those who have succeeded in the area you're exploring. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of success. When you take a risk that doesn't pan out as expected, you haven't failed. You've gathered priceless information. Thomas Edison discovered thousands of ways not to make a light bulb before finding the one way that worked. Each failure was merely a stepping stone. Develop the habit of asking yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Then prepare for that outcome. Once you've addressed the worst case scenario, you'll find your fear diminishing and your courage growing. The wealthy understand something the poor don't. Inaction is the greatest risk of all. While others wait for perfect conditions, the achiever takes imperfect action. The achiever takes imperfect action. They understand that the ship can't be steered until it's moving. Today, look at your financial situation and identify one calculated risk you could take to improve it. Remember, your reward in life will be determined by what you're willing to risk. Make that risk intelligent. Make it calculated. But by all means, make it. Your financial future depends on your willingness to step beyond what's comfortable into what's possible. Lesson 11. Mastering the Art of Intelligent Risk. Risk, my friends, is not a four-letter word to be avoided, but rather a gateway to opportunity that must be understood. The wealthiest people throughout history have been neither the most reckless gamblers nor the most cautious savers. They have been intelligent risk takers who understood the delicate balance between chance and certainty. Consider for a moment the difference between the gambler and the entrepreneur. The gambler hopes, while the entrepreneur calculates. The gambler relies on luck, while the entrepreneur relies on research, preparation, and controlled exposure to uncertainty. This distinction makes all the difference in the world. Every financial decision carries some element of risk. Even keeping your money under your mattress risks its value being eroded by inflation. The question isn't whether to take risks, but rather which risks are worth taking and how to manage them properly. The first principle of intelligent risk-taking is to never risk what you cannot afford to lose. This seems obvious, yet it's astonishing how many people mortgage their homes or drain their retirement accounts to fund ventures they barely understand. Intelligent risk means calculating not just the potential reward, but also the downside you can genuinely withstand. The second principle is to thoroughly understand what you're risking your money on. I'm reminded of a wise investor who once told me, if you can't explain your investment strategy to a 12-year-old in under a minute, you shouldn't be putting your money there. Clarity and simplicity are the hallmarks of sound investment decisions. Third, intelligent risk takers diversify. They understand that the old saying about not putting all your eggs in one basket contains profound wisdom. By spreading your investments across different vehicles, some safer, some with higher growth potential, you create a balanced approach that can weather various economic conditions. Fourth, they take calculated, incremental steps. Rather than diving headfirst into a new venture with all their capital, they test the waters with smaller amounts. If the smaller investment proves successful, they gradually increase their commitment. This approach allows them to learn and adapt with minimal exposure. Fifth, and perhaps most importantly, successful risk. Takers develop emotional discipline. They make decisions based on facts and analysis rather than fear or excitement. When the market plummets, they don't panic and sell everything. When everyone is clamoring about the latest investment fad, they don't succumb to the fear of missing out. Risk and reward travel together as companions on the road to wealth. The greater the potential reward, the greater the potential reward, the greater the risk involved. But not all risks are created equal. Your task is to identify the risks where the odds are tilted in your favor, where your knowledge gives you an edge, and where you can control at least some of the variables. The path to financial freedom isn't found in avoiding risk entirely, nor is it found in reckless chance-taking. It's found in that golden middle ground where careful analysis meets calculated action, where courage meets wisdom. Master this balance, and you'll find yourself making money while others are merely hoping to not lose it. Lesson 12. The legacy of wealth, more than money. Perhaps the greatest irony of financial success, my friends, is that its ultimate value has almost nothing to do with the dollars themselves. As we conclude our journey through these golden rules, I want you to consider something profound. True wealth isn't measured by what you have, but by what you do with what you have. Think back to the greatest men and women throughout history. We don't remember Rockefeller merely for his millions, but for the foundations he established that continue to serve humanity. We don't recall Carnegie simply for his steel empire, but for the libraries that have educated generations. Their money became meaningful because they transformed it into something that outlasted them. You see, money is merely a tool, perhaps the most versatile tool ever created. In your hands, it can build or destroy, inspire or corrupt, liberate or imprison. The choice has always been yours. The man who dies wealthy but leaves nothing of value behind has, in truth, died a pauper. The woman who uses her resources, however modest, to improve the lives of others has achieved true abundance. I've known millionaires who lived in spiritual poverty and people of modest means who possessed extraordinary wealth of character. The difference wasn't in their bank accounts, but in their understanding of this principle. We are merely temporary stewards of whatever wealth comes our way. Consider this question. If all your material possessions were suddenly taken away, what would remain? Your knowledge, your character, your relationships, your contribution to others? These are the real assets that no market crash can diminish, no thief can steal, and no inflation can erode. When you begin viewing money through this lens, something remarkable happens. You stop worrying about just accumulating and start focusing on allocating. You ask better questions. How can my resources create the most good? Rather than how can I get more? This perspective transforms not just your financial life, but your entire existence. You'll find yourself making different decisions, associating with different people, and discovering deeper satisfaction than mere acquisition could ever provide. So as you apply these golden rules and watch your financial situation improve, remember to balance your material growth with spiritual and ethical growth. Set aside a portion of your earnings for causes that will outlive you. Teach your children not just how to make money, but how to make meaning. The ancient Egyptians believed you couldn't take your gold with you into the afterlife. They were right, but they missed something important. While you can't take your wealth with you, you can send it ahead by investing in people, causes, and ideas that will continue long after you're gone. And isn't that, my friends, the ultimate form of compound interest? To have your life's work continue growing in value, touching lives you'll never meet, solving problems you'll never see, and creating opportunities for generations yet unborn. This is the final golden rule. True wealth is what you give, not what you have. Master this principle, and you'll have discovered something far more precious than money. You'll have found meaning.